What else you guys want to talk about?
Well, you know, one thing I want to end with before we get off this topic, I've had a few people say, you know, is it really our job to treat the addicted people who've gotten themselves in this position and pay for that? What I think people fail to realize is, as you open the paper every day and you see the burglaries and you see the jails overcrowded, and the cost to government and the indirect cost of this problem is enormous. So we're
paying for it.
Either way, we're going to pay for it. We just need to try to catch it on the front end and affect the problem there.
Be proactive, not reactive, and I think there's certainly something to that. Yeah, and if you say you're not affected by it, you are, because all you have to do is go down, I know here in Jackson County, sit at the municipal court for a day. I've been there. Scare the heck out of you. Look at the grand jury indictments. They're all drugs, 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 drugs. So, you know, and a lot of the crime, as you just mentioned, that happens is as a direct result of that, needing money and whatever.
Could I ask a question?
Sure.
I'm sitting over here thinking about the number of states who have passed marijuana laws that legalize marijuana. What is your feeling about marijuana and leading on to harder drug use? And as far as that goes, the states that have passed marijuana laws.
Yeah, and also, doesn't Ohio have something pending right now to get on the ballot for marijuana?
They do. They have a push to do that. My personal opinion is I think it's considered a gateway drug to a lot of other things. It's not something that I would ever be in favor of for the state of Ohio. I just don't think it's the right move for us. Interestingly enough, as we talked to Dr. Johnson again about the epidemic, what they link it to, and of course they understand marijuana is a gateway drug as well, but nicotine was the gateway drug to so many other things. Now, we don't think about that, but people who chew tobacco or smoke at an early age are much highly correlated to other problems down the road.
Wow. Because
of the addictive nature of nicotine and I think the addictive gene that some people have. So it is a gateway drug, but I certainly think marijuana is a gateway drug and leads to a lot of other issues. In comparison to what we're talking about, it's a much lesser evil, I think, than what we're dealing with, but doesn't make it any better.
Well, and I think typically you don't smoke your medicine. So, you know, we've got to... I think we have to carefully...
But it's fun.
We have to carefully examine, you know, the addictive nature of marijuana. And matter of fact, we heard from these young ladies yesterday. That was what they said. They said that even as young girls, they got mixed in with the wrong crowd, started smoking marijuana, and then were riding around in the car, and some of the older boys said, here, you know, take one of these, try this. And so I think that's exactly what we're talking about is in terms of being a gateway. But
I think you're talking about two different things, too, when you're talking about, you know, you said you don't smoke your medicine, but there are so many stories out there of marijuana helping people medicinally. I had a story the other day about a little girl who had, she had like 50 seizures a day, and her mother was at her wit's end. She knew she was going to die, and she went and tried this marijuana treatment, and her seizures stopped. So there are like cases for that. So again, somewhere in the middle has to be the, you know, if it's regulated as a medicine, I guess I don't have a huge problem with it. But I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's great. But I think, you know, the same could be true said of some of the things like the OxyContin.
Right.
And
it has its place.
Right. If it's used correctly,
just not abused,
in the right place, it probably is okay and good and has a medical purpose. But so many times you find that it's diverted and not used for the medical purpose. So.
What is the? I've heard rumblings of some kind of marijuana law being put on the ballot. What are they? Is it a medicinal marijuana law or a legalized marijuana law, bill that's going to be put on the ballot? Do you know?
You know what that is, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm really not familiar with it. I know that it's been introduced, but I've not been part of any of the committees that they've had hearings on the bill. And so, you know, I've not been directly involved with the bill.
I think there's two pushes. One is the bill that was introduced in the legislature to legalize that, which, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Representative Robert Hagan from Youngstown area that introduced that, but I could be wrong. The other one is the ballot petition that they're gathering signatures for.
Right.
That they'd like to get it on the ballot to make it a constitutional amendment so that everybody in Ohio gets to vote on it. But that remains to be seen if it gets certified to get there.
Okay. It is interesting, and I don't want to talk about the marijuana thing forever, but Dad had a story the other day that they did a survey in the U.S. as a whole, and 80% of the people said they would vote to legalize marijuana as prescribed by a doctor, which I thought was very interesting. That's not helping your cause any.
Right. Well, we might be in the minority then.
No, but again, that's because the part of the survey was as prescribed by a doctor, as medicine, not for recreation. And I think that's where people go from one extreme to the other. I think that if you said just threw it out there and said for recreation and whatever, and it would be a free for all, people wouldn't vote for that. So.
Well, I mean, I think that one of the factors that plays into this, for me at least, is I've got 5 children, and you know, boy, you worry about your children
yes.
becoming addicted to some of these things because it is so harmful and destructive. And you look at, I would just like to see my kids kept as far away from that line as possible, and I'm doing everything as a parent I can to try to encourage that and keep our family together and give them the right tools that they need to succeed, and not have them go down a path where they're you know, struggling with an addiction. Because, as you know, this committee, this legislative study committee, has given me a chance to see how difficult it is for people that are struggling with addiction, and so I know that when we talk with the law enforcement, they often describe the marijuana as a gateway drug, and so, you know, that's something that's really concerning to me, just as a parent, I guess, not just as a legislator. So
It should be, and that's why you're doing what you're doing, and I think that's fantastic. And I know, Ryan, you have children as well, and it does hit home.
It's the one thing that probably keeps me up at night, to think about how it would affect your family, and I see it affecting so many families. And the other thing that we've noticed with this epidemic, it knows no socioeconomic bounds. Before, they always considered crack or even heroin to be more of a more challenging problem for the lower socioeconomic status. Actually, it's quite the opposite for this, because the prescription pills can be expensive. So what we're finding is it's affecting all sorts of families, and I've seen the devastation it causes to communities. I feel like it's the worst thing right now as far as the biggest crisis we face, and quite frankly, it's eating our communities from the inside out, and we have to do something to slow this down.
Well, I think it's wonderful what you guys are doing and trying, and I hope that you're hugely successful at it, because something needs to be done, and it's getting. Is it getting worse every day?
Well,
the drug problem.
I suppose it's who you talk to. Right now, again, going back to the pill mills, shutting off the pills, what we've ended up with is going to heroin, which is a much more addictive situation and much more debilitating physically. So from that standpoint, it's getting worse, but we have a lot of addicted people in this area that we need to get treatment for. And unfortunately, we don't have very much in the way to offer for treatment at this point for a lot of those folks. So there again, how do we get these people back to be a productive piece of society and their life back on track and their families healed and moving in the right direction?
Well,
and I think just to pick up on that, we have seen some decline when the pill mills were knocked out of business. There was a substantial decline in the number of prescription opiates available, which then, you know, precipitated the turn to heroin. And what's interesting is, traditionally, the reason that heroin hasn't taken off is because a lot of people, you know, you don't start out with drug use wanting to stick a needle in your arm.
That's the one thing I can't get past. Where do you just one day decide that you're going to stick a needle in your arm?
Well, I think that's what the prescriptions, you know, make that so easy, because you start out by taking the pill, you think that it's safe. I mean, it's a prescription drug, for goodness sakes. A lot of people don't even realize that the prescription is akin to heroin, that is just an extra chlorine atom or whatever it is on the end of that benzene chain. It's very similar, and they don't think about it. They just take the pill and assume that it's okay and that it's safe, and then once you get that high and those receptors are filled, then it's an easy transition to sticking a needle in your arm, or maybe not an easy transition, but there's that bridge. Traditionally, there's kind of always been that fear factor, that bridge that's kept people from going to heroin.
Yeah, because people don't like needles. That's why.
Right.
But eventually.
Think about meth on the other side. They're cutting open lithium batteries and putting it into a pop bottle and having these little meth labs, these portable meth labs, and they're ingesting the insides of a lithium battery into their body. To me, that's even scarier than sticking a needle in your arm.
Oh my God!
But
I didn't know that one.
The addictive nature of this is just so strong and takes such hold that your body wants to do anything it can to get to feeling better, because it is just such a terrible situation to start withdrawal off of heroin or something like that.
Yeah, and I think at some point, in talking with some people that have been addicted, they've all said it gets to the point where you do it just so you don't feel bad. You don't do it to feel good, because you just can't get that high anymore. But you just do it so you don't feel awful.
The ladies we met with yesterday, interestingly enough, part of the wraparound services they have is the coping process. And they said, always before, well, first of all, when you're addicted to something, they said it magnifies the highs and the lows. So anything that happens in your life is more dramatic, be it stress or whatever it might be. So she said, I found myself, okay, there's times I'm feeling good, so I want to celebrate. And then there's times I'm feeling bad, so I want to take something to feel better. So it was always, that was the coping mechanism that they used, and what they're trying to teach them is other ways to combat that feeling, and that there's other ways not to use to get to feeling better.
And I think another point to that is that treatment does work. People recover. They still have to be careful, and they still have to be disciplined about what they're doing, but people recover and can become productive. And I mean, there's hope for people that are struggling with addiction as they go through treatment, and they're valuable people, and they have abilities, and God's given them a purpose in life. And as a society, we recognize that they can come back into the fold and live a happy life again.
And we are a very forgiving society. I know down here anyway, especially people embrace others and help each other out, and people will forgive you, and people will embrace you back into the community if you do your part and get better and don't steal from them anymore. And I've been affected by it. I've had numerous things stolen, and it just you just feel so violated, and it's all due to drugs. So, but anyway. Anything else you guys wanted to talk about? I mean, while you're here, bring it on.
I'll mention one thing that I've been working on that I think is real important to the district, and that's high-speed internet access.
For our area?
Absolutely.
Oh, great.
In rural areas such as this, especially in Appalachia, where we have a more difficult topography to go about, we're not as densely populated, so there's not the incentive for the big telcos to run the lines out to these houses. And when you have 5 people that live out in the country up a hollow, it's challenging for them to, the business model just doesn't work for them to run lines out there.
Right.
So one of the challenges we have is how do we get high-speed internet to these folks, because we've done a great job getting high-speed internet to the schools. So our kids, when they go there, have access to high-speed internet, and so much of it's now becoming online. It's blended learning. What we find, though, is what I find throughout the district is too many of these kids go home, and it stops there. They can't get online and continue to learn, and there's so many opportunities we're missing out on, not to mention the economic factor for the businesses. Too many of them, when they come to town, they want to locate where there's high-speed access. Well, you'd like to think that that's everywhere. Unfortunately, it's not. Yeah. So I think opening up some lines of capital for some wireless internet service providers in this area that have done a good job to help get the services out. That's one of the services that I'm on, and I have a good connection speed, but there's too much of our area that isn't connected, or at least have the opportunity to connect. I know everybody may not want to, but they should have the opportunity at a high-speed rate. So I think that is, in my opinion, basic infrastructure,
Mm-hmm.
similar to what you would have with
I
water,
agree.
sewer, roads, and you need internet capabilities.
I agree. Great job.
So I'm working on it. I haven't found the solution yet, but that's part of the process.
You have to start somewhere, yeah?
Yep.
Well, and I think, you know, this kind of goes back to job creation, and obviously as we come out of the recession, that's been our focus now for the past 2.5 years, in terms of, you know, trying to come up with a more competitive business environment. We want to make it attractive to companies to locate here.
Sure.
We've got a great workforce. We have a great history in Ohio of being able to make and produce things, and frankly, you know, over the last 2 or 3 decades, we've really struggled in that regard, as a lot of our production has moved overseas. We're beginning to see that change, and our manufacturing sector has become stronger during the last recession, and it's beginning to come back, and we're trying to do everything we can to make the environment, the business environment, the tax environment, attractive so that businesses will expand here and maybe even relocate to Ohio. We know that there's some high tax states like Illinois and California. The companies are now coming and looking at relocating from those states to Ohio simply because our cost of living is lower and our tax rates are more
That's for
competitive,
sure.
and our business environment is better now. So we're starting to see that pendulum start to swing back.
Great. Sounds good to me. And it is good to see, you know, you go up to Columbus even, and you see, my goodness, the growth, and it's unbelievable. Restaurants popping up everywhere, and all of the buildings and hotels and whatever. And I guess that's about as far as I make it, so I don't get up to your neck of the woods very often. But it is nice to see things growing in Ohio.
We have a few new restaurants opening down here, I understand.
We do. Yes.
I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yes. And well, you've been to Courtside a time or
I have.
two.
When it's my night to cook, that's usually where we end up.
Well, good. Yes, we do. We are opening one here in Jackson, and we look so forward to it. We're so excited about it. It's going to be a blast.
That's
so
great.
You'll have to come down and visit us.
That'd be great.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, boys, I know you have, I call everybody boys, I'm sorry. Men, gentlemen, you have a whole lot of stuff to do today, and you have a big meeting to get ready for, so I'll let you get out of here. And I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to come down and hang out with my father and I here at Little Cable Channel 15.
Well, we appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk about the problem, and certainly the
Absolutely.
publicity you offer us, and shining the spotlight on our biggest problem, and hopefully we'll find some good solutions.
That's right. Get on out to the meeting today, Holzer Medical Center, in the conference room there as you walk in the main door at 1 o'clock, and you all are invited. So get on out there and be part of the solution. Don't be part of the problem. Like that?
Well said.
Thanks.
Very nice.
All right. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Come back and see us anytime.
Thank you very much.
Okay. And take your chair with you.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, sir.
So great to see the guys and know that they're doing something great for our community, our communities, and our state. And keep up the good work.
Thank you. Take care.
Again, Representative Robert Sprague and our state representative Ryan Smith, and want to thank them so much for coming in. And the main thing is first getting people to understand that there is a problem. Kind of a hard thing to get people to recognize.
I know it's hard to believe.
Strangely.
It is hard to believe that a lot of people out there really do not believe, honest to heaven, they don't believe we have a drug problem here.
They don't. It's amazing. And there certainly is. And, you know, when someone walks into your
It's
garage and
giant.
steals your tools, and you know, then you'll understand what we're talking about here. It's a big deal. So get on out to the meeting today. Should be very, very informative. And that's an awesome thing that they're doing. So
Well, I hope that they are successful in coming up with some programs or ideas or pathways that will help. It sort of goes back, though, to the thing. First of all, we have to recognize we have a horrible drug problem in this area.
Exactly.
And not only here, but in Gallia County, in Scioto County, especially.
Yeah, all of our surrounding counties. I mean, you know, Representative Sprague's saying that he's from Hardin County, and they have the highest problem rate. So it's just
Yeah, and I don't know why that would be. That's Hardin County would be up around the Kenton area, and that's a rural. You know, you would have to classify that as a rural.
Makes you wonder, doesn't
area.
it?
A lot of farming, a lot of Amish up there, and a lot of big farms.
Yep. I don't know. Don't get it.